Hello, everybody. It's me, Root Beer, and Bushiroad just had a New Year's stream announcing a bunch of new information for Vanguard. So let's cover it, shall we? So first up, we just kind of have like reiteration of Set 7. So that's going to be coming out in April for us, and we're getting, a new Dragon Tree unit, new Brantgate, a new lyrical unit who looks super cool, and a new version of Bob's Sagra. So we already kind of knew about this one, but this is just kind of reiterating an upcoming product. I really like Set 7 so far. It does feel like this set was targeted at me specifically. Like, the new lyrical unit looks super cool. Bofsagra is a deck that I always want to like and never quite have. Maybe this new version will revitalize my interest in it. We'll see. And then, of course, the new lyrical unit is also the one getting the clamp treatment as a DSR. So I kind of figure that the person playing it, Suzune, is an important character. She's featured pretty prominently in the opening and had a bit of focus during the first episode. So, of course, she's the DSR and, of course, waifu deck. We'll see if I ever get lucky enough or if I even like the deck enough to bother with a DSR the same way I did for Liel. Uh, Next up, we've also announced Booster Pack 8, so we don't have an English date yet, but it's going to be featuring new units, so we're getting a fourth version of Magnolia, good for Atlas. We are getting a new version of Blangdmire, kind of to be expected at this point. I think over time they're gonna slowly drip out new versions of all the fated slash destined ones as they become relevant in the anime. Blankmeyer is another one of those decks where it's like, I want to like it and sort of do. I think the deck is okay, but maybe a new version will help like push the deck into a direction that I personally am more interested in. And like a new version of Youthberg, which is a deck that I own and never play. So this set compared to set 7 is not one that I'm super interested in, but I can imagine a lot of people are going to be excited for the new Youth Berk, and then probably at least some amount of people are going to be into the new Magnolia, especially Atlas, so that'll be like good content for the channel. Next up, we are announcing master deck sets for Urara and Michiru, in other words, Leonore and Drajuled. So these are going to be 6,050 yen, which we can see in the product information here. And it's going to include a full deck, a storage box, which I assume is going to be one of these, the little cardboard box that they usually package the decks in. They're going to have sleeves, they're going to have a play sheet, energy counter, fighter's coins, which I assume is just going to be like the cardboard ones. And a triple RPR pack, like a character one. So I think it's probably going to be like the character triggers or something like that. So Chris is kind of asserting that these are like good starters. Like, I don't know that that's the case. 6,000 yen is a pretty hefty amount. And especially compared to the last deck sets they did for like Orfist, Graham Grace, and Favrenil. The This costs 2,000 yen more. I believe those were around 4,000 yen, which ended up being $50 in EN format. So for us, I have to imagine that this 6,000 yen product is going to be something like 70 or $80 compared to the 50 they were previously. And the other thing that I feel like is conspicuously missing is that they don't include a deck holder. So usually, when they talk about storage boxes, they mean like the cardboard box that it's packaged in, but an actual deck holder, which most people call a deck box, one of these, doesn't look like it's included. And for what is supposed to be a premium product that's kind of giving you everything, it does feel like a very conspicuous absence. And also, Drajuled and Leonore, compared to something like Vergila, which we just got a start deck for in English not too long ago, these are a bit more complicated. You have to think about, like, having different grades for Drajuled, you have to worry about the, like, unison dress for Leonore and the way that, like, boosting with your units are going to work. Not every higher grade unit has boost, and so trying to figure out, like, when you can boost with, like, a higher grade unit that doesn't inherently have boost kind of comes into play. So, like, I don't know that these are going to be good starter products. I still think this is a class of product that should exist, targeting a more like mid-core player, someone who's already kind of invested in the game and either wants to like take the next step or explore like a new archetype that they didn't have a reason to before. So, still a good product. I'm not as excited for these as I think other people are going to be. And then another big announcement is that they've announced a total of 700 episodes of animation will be produced. So I didn't really get the significance of this. I thought they were just referring to the fact that 700 episodes have already been made, but it turns out we're closer to like 580 right now. So the fact that they've announced 700 for production means that we still have several years of anime already kind of pre planned, which means the game's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. And then finally, we also have the unveiling of a new card for Deer Day specifically. So this is going to be, I think, the protagonist of the new game's card. So we have Hellfire Dragon Whirple Dragon. So at the beginning of your main phase, you energy charge 3. Then you can act energy blast 3. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. If you did not retire anything, it gets 5k until end of turn, or if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, it gets 10k. This is not a once per turn, which we will see why in a second. And then the third ability it has is once per turn. At the end of the battle attack, if you energy blast 6 or more in total for this unit's abilities this turn, you can counter blast 1, stand it, and it gets drive -2 until end of turn. Then you can soul blast 1 card with the same name as this card, and it gets drive +1. I think this is like a neat card. It's not the greatest. It's a little, you know, Dragon Empire. It's a restander, but I do like the idea of it. I do kind of like these kind of mid-range cards that do a little bit of everything. So it's got a little bit of board control, a little bit of pressure with restanding. I do like the design of like, okay, if you have a copy of it in Soul, you can get the extra drive, which is kind of cool. So this kind of encourages you to persona ride without like hard locking you out of being able to do anything until like your opponent is grade 3 or something like that. So, a neat little thing. I'm going to be interested in seeing it in English. It might just be like a funny little budget deck that people can latch onto the same way I did for Favrenil. Hopefully she doesn't end up in promo jail like Favrenil did, but we'll see. Also, the other thing that everyone notices is that this looks very similar to Vortex Dragon from back in the day, which is always kind of nice when they have these little throwback cards. So, that is it for all of the news that got announced the other day. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.